Alright, hey guys. So this is Solacespecs, and I am doing a quick video on how to survive in Path of Exile Nemesis League. So this is the new hardcore league. Just some things about myself. I've been playing Path of Exile for a long time, but I've never actually been any good at it. So take my advice. Just beware that I give the best advice, but currently I am level 69. Scion, about to ding 70. Have only had a couple of close calls, and pretty much just I've picked up a few things that have helped me out just a little bit as I play. And so I wanted to make this video for you guys who maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're trying to get a little higher level, maybe you just picked up Path of Exile. If you're new to the game, I can go ahead and tell you it's an incredible game. I've never really made it to the end game until now, and I'm just now kind of getting my feet wet with it. And I gotta say, I love it. I mean, it's really fun. It's awesome. And it's totally free, which is why you should play it. Now, my microphone is actually broken, so I'm using a different one. And the one I'm using, you can hear me click this whole time. And so I apologize for that. Maybe some background noise. Really no big deal, but just letting you know about it. And what I wanted to do was just give you a few things that have helped me out. None of these are really too incredible or too awe-inspiring or anything like that, but just they serve as good reminders for really just helping you get those levels and at least build some confidence to level up and get some gear. And right now you can see my trade chat going. This is actually the Reddit trade chat, which is trade. I can type it out for you. It's trade 5055, and that'll cause you to join it. These are all Redditors right here. Mostly people who are getting price checks or making small trades, but really helps you to avoid the spamming that goes on. Ooh, that's a really nice, it's a great ring. Sorry. Now there are a couple of people every now and then who spam, yada yada yada, but anyway, a little bit about my character. Again, I'm a Scion. I'm running two auras, Hatred and Grace, which these auras, I'll talk a little bit more about it here in a little bit, but with these auras, it gives me a lot of defense, about 5,600 armor from the 1,700 from the skill, and then I get good damage from the ability as well. So those work out well. I got Spectral Throw, which show you my gear. This 6-link, that's not a 6-link, this 6-socket I have just came through convenience. You know what, I really don't want to get into my gear because honestly you didn't come here for the gear, you came here for a couple of tips. But I'm more than willing to, all this stuff is self-found, just through playing I found it, and just been lucky I guess. But right now I'm on a map, and as I give you guys some tips, I'll just be playing through this. So again, I apologize for the clicking sounds, but anyway, so surviving in Path of Exile is undoubtedly can be tricky. I mean, it's frustrating most of all. Cool. It's frustrating to level up your character. I mean, I had probably 3 or 4 characters who just didn't seem to make it ever, and so I'd get to level, I don't know, 60 maybe 65 tops, and then I'd die. And it's pretty frustrating to invest this much time into a character, and then he's dead, and you're like, wow, what did I just spend all these hours on? Now, as I'm playing this, I'm being kind of cautious in the back of my head because I'm thinking it would really suck to be doing a video on how not to die in Path of Exile, and then I die. So hopefully that didn't happen. Right now I'm doing a map, so I'm kind of, I'm a little new to maps, so I'm trying to be kind of careful with it. But anyway, first tip of Path of Exile is really to go at a smart pace. You know, I could run through here and, you know, be leaping around and using my Quicksilver Flask and just clearing mobs. And, you know, many players will talk about your clear speed and how the best way to play Path of Exile is to essentially clear maps as fast as you can, because naturally, as you clear maps, you're going to get more loot. You're going to go through maps more quickly, you're going to kill mobs faster, you're going to level up faster, and you're going to get loot faster. And so obviously it just makes total sense when you play to go as fast as you can. However, I'm somebody who, I'm thinking long term, and I'm just thinking it really isn't worth it to me to be playing and die. And so I'm actually okay with going a little slower. If you're a patient person, obviously this probably comes natural to you. if you're somebody who you just want to rush through and especially be number one on the ladder, maybe not so much. Now, normally I go just a little quicker than this, but honestly, I'm more concerned about dying while I'm distracted doing this video, so I'm going a little slower. But, you know, I've had probably 3 separate instances where I almost ripped, almost died, and all 3 of those instances were situations where, where I rushed in. I'm seeing right now. Sorry, I'm seeing if I can leap slam over to the other side, which I can't. They're all instances where I rushed in and I really didn't look at the mobs that I was fighting. The first time I was in the docks, which probably every player has died once in the docks, and ran into a void bearer that had extra damage. He had splitting projectiles, which with void bearers, when they split their damage, they just it like stacks on top of it, which sucks because you get 3 times the damage on top of you. Really not cool. And so I almost died there. I also almost died where I was rushing the mobs. I quicksilvered through, and I just jumped in, not even looking, because it was a lower level area, and there was an Exile in there. And this Exile had a stacking chaos damage dot that he put on me, and I didn't have anything to counteract it. And literally within a couple of seconds, I mean, I have 4,000, 4,100 life. I was down to probably 800 life in a couple of seconds, and it was just draining down. And it's actually the first time I've ever had to just save and quit the game. These situations are totally avoidable. And the same thing happened with the 3rd time. It was I ran into a mob, didn't look at its affixes, and just charged in because I'm thinking, I want to clear this out. You know, in Path of Exile, you have to just be aware that even in areas that you can pretty much wipe this zone pretty easily, there are going to be mobs that can kill you. There's going to be a combination that can just decimate you. And again, you have to be mindful of the fact, am I going too fast to the point where I'm putting myself at risk, or, you know, could I play this a little more quickly and get some loot faster? So with that said, you know, go at your own pace. Don't be afraid to go a little slower. You know, really, it doesn't make a difference to me if I clear this in, you know, 10 minutes versus clearing it in, 10 minutes versus clearing it in 15 minutes. I mean, that long term, if it means that I don't die, that's fine to me. Now, again, you guys who you're math crazy, you're thinking, well, if I add that up this many times, then it's that many minutes I'm saving. And you're right. You're absolutely right. But again, it just makes more sense to me to play it safe and make sure that you're going on pace. And I would say even, you know, once you're sure, okay, this zone's no problem to me, man, you go as fast as you want. You know, I was farming the catacombs earlier, and I mean, I was quicksilvering, leaping, I mean, doing everything because I knew chances are I'll be fine. The second tip is to really just to learn the zones and know how to gear for them. You know, I pretty much, again, I'm about to be level 70. I have avoided anything past Piety. I don't farm in the Imperial Gardens. I don't farm in the Scepter of the Gods. And if you suggested that to any player to go farm the Scepter of the Gods, they would think you're an idiot. Because, I mean, you have Caliga, the rare mob in there. You have the little, I don't even know what they're called, the little lizard things that hop around, which are a huge pain to deal with. I mean, especially, I ran into an affix earlier that was Storm Herald, and it leaps around at you too. It's just really hard to kill. Oh, and it had life regen. Really tough to deal with. And the fact of the matter is this, you just have to know the zones. You know, if you're going to be farming in the docks, you need to have fire resist. You need to be understanding that the Void Bearers are going to kill you without fire resist. You know, another example is, I'll show you here in a little bit. One of my maps that I have is the Dunes map. And in the Dunes map is a boss known as the Blacksmith. And the Blacksmith is really just, he's ridiculously hard. Now, I'm thinking, okay, I could do that map and kill him, but I'm also thinking, I'm level 69, the map's 66, is it worth it for me to learn the map when I have all these other maps and risk dying to this guy? And the answer is no, it's not. And so with that, you know, you pretty much, you never really go into anything blind. You know, Dominus, for example. Man, I'm getting a lot of maps. Dominus, for example. Dominus and Cruel, one of his mobs, I don't know if it's him or if it's Dominus himself, but they do Corrupting Blood, which is a stacking bleeding dot. And I went into that and almost died because I didn't realize that one of the mobs would do that. And he literally almost wiped me. So really just being aware of the zone you're going to. I would just say never go into a zone without knowing what it's all about, without knowing what kind of mobs are going to be there, without knowing how you need to gear for it. And with that, you know, especially in gearing, be mindful of the life that's on your items and also the resistance. Let me kill this guy real quick. There we go. Real quick, I'll show you some of my items. Again, nothing's really too incredible. I'm wearing this crown. It is a caster crown. The only reason I'm wearing it is because it has 2 resists and it has a lot of life, 90 life almost. This chest, it's actually a 6-socket because I made it 6-socket on accident. 57 life, and then it has triple resists. This belt is amazing. I wish it had more resist, but it has pretty much 100 life. And what you need to understand is items that don't have resist or life really aren't good items. You know, some may, there are some uniques that are pretty incredible, but I mean, take these gloves for example. You're really trading off damage for reliability. What's going to help you survive the best? Now my damage is 1500. Obviously you've been watching me play. I could probably stand to do a little bit more, but I'm not flat out beating on mobs thinking, man, why can't I kill these things? It's really not too difficult for me to kill anything. I mean, I throw a few spectral throws, that's dead. Now you watch somebody like Crip, and dude flies through and kills stuff. I mean, his dual strike pretty much one shots a mob. But I mean, I'm satisfied with that, and that's really how I got to this point of having 4100 life. Is not so much of looking for every life node that's in the game. It's more of just, dude, I'm getting so many maps this time. It's more of just being aware of your items. So real quick, I'll show you my last tip, which is the skill tree. With the skill tree, you want to just plan your passives with purpose, using some alliteration there with the P's. And what I mean by plan your passives with purpose, you really want to be aware of the direction that you go here as you are adding your passive points. And real quick, let me just say this. It's very easy from level 1 just to indiscriminately put your passives anywhere you want them. And what you have to understand is by level 70, passive points are few and far between. I mean, you really slow down in leveling as compared to level 1 where they come at you. And you kind of have to get rid of the mentality that, well, at level 1, oh, this point doesn't matter, I'm going to have another one really quickly. You really need to think at all times every point is valuable. Now, with that in mind, you can look up guides, you can look up builds. I am not against any of that stuff. Personally, I really don't like to look up builds. When I started my Scion, I didn't look anything up. I didn't go find the best build for making a Scion. I really just looked at this passive tree and thought, okay, what is going to help me with my build? I need some life nodes, I need some damage, what direction I want to go. And so I knew some passives that I really liked. I like Unwavering Stance because you can't evade enemy attacks, but you also can't be stunned. And I planned on already getting Iron Reflexes, which removes your evasion. Well, if I have no evasion and I can't dodge, then I might as well not be able to get stunned either. Wrecking Ball looked good. Berserking looked good. All of these life nodes looked great. And so thinking that through, I also knew I wanted to get Diamond Flesh for resistance. So what I did was I started out actually right here for this melee physical damage and went through Path of the Warrior, and I went straight for these life nodes because I knew I was going to need a lot of life to survive this game. And originally I actually went all the way up here before deciding I wanted to go this direction. And the fact of the matter is this, any passive that you want, when I say passive, I mean like big ability or keystone, like Berserking, or I guess you can't really call this a keystone. I guess these are the keystones, but any real passive that you want, you need to think, is it worth it to go for it? And I don't necessarily mean just the skill itself. I mean getting to the skill, is it worth it? So for example, I'll show you one skill I'm heading towards right now. Is it this one? No, it's this one right here. And I'm going to work on this one later. I'm working towards Reaver right now. And these small things, really not that big a deal, because eventually I'm trying to get to 15% increased damage. I like these small ones because even though this one's not really important, the next two give me life. Now 10%, really not much between two nodes, but like this node, for example, Cruel Blade, 24% increased physical damage with swords. I plan on eventually using swords. The first two nodes, 6%, 6%, that's 12%, which is great. Basically, if I was to look at Harrier, for example, 10% increased attack speed and 6% movement speed. That's really good. But is it worth dumping these points in attack speed? These three especially, not really. Now you'll see I have one here and here in Shaper. These two things really aren't important for me right now. The only reason I have them is because, as you saw with Hatred and Grace, that takes me down to like 49 mana, and I only have 23 total. I really need some mana regen to be able to spam my abilities. And so I'm making sure that I have enough right now to be able to spam those things, and then later on I'll probably spec out of these. But another thing that helps my mana regen is having Mana Leech. I have 1% Mana Leech. Now if I had more Mana Leech, I could actually spec out of these two abilities, and even these two right here, and that's 4 more points, actually 4, 5, 6 more points that I could put somewhere else, which is great. Well, let's say I'm looking on my ability list, and I see... where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it. Okay, here we go. Mind Drinker. 2% physical attack damage, leeches mana. I can look at that and think, wow, that's awesome. I need that. Mana Leech works wonders for me. And I can think, you know what? I can get Harrier on the way. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 points to get Mind Drinker. Now I can also dump 3 points here to get life, and I've gotten the 10% attack speed, I've gotten the Mana Leech, and I've gotten a little bit of life. This is a very bad decision. The reason it's a bad decision is because I just dumped all of these points to get to this position for abilities that, pretty much one ability. You know, the benefit in going for Berserking, for example, is that it's on my way to something else that I want. You know, I may dump points into going down here to get this life because it's only 2 more points away from Diamond Flesh. And then furthermore, I can continue following this to Acceleration, which I want, or Leather and Steel, which it helps me to ignore movement penalties. And then eventually I want to get Iron Reflexes. You know, basically what I'm getting at, even right here, Wrecking Ball, I can go for this. If this life wasn't here, I probably wouldn't go for Wrecking Ball, because it means that I dump points to get to an ability that, yes, it helps me out, but there's not much around it that helps me otherwise. Again, that's assuming there's no life nodes here. You really only want to go in a direction that that has abilities around it, just to save you time or save you skill points from traveling through. So for example, I would love to go up here into the Templar tree and get 18% physical damage with two-handed melee weapons. You know, I would love to get Discipline and Training, but it takes a lot of work to get up here. Does that make sense? The idea is to travel the least amount of ground as possible in order to get as many abilities as you can. For example, coming out here was a great idea because this section is huge. I have Iron Grip, I have Unwavering Stance, I have more life right here. If I want Blood Drinker, I can get that. If I feel like some of the annoying rares that leech life, I can take care of that. Furthermore, I have these 2 sets of nodes that I can get as well. So this is a very valuable part of the tree. You know, even down here with Diamond Flesh, I really don't need this, to be honest, if I can get it from my gear. But since it's only 1-2 points away from my Golem's Blood, I'm going to go ahead and spec into it. If this Diamond Flesh was actually, let's say it was right here in the middle where Wicked Blade is, I probably wouldn't invest in it. Or at least even to make a better example, let's say it's right here at the end of this arc. I'm probably not going to invest in it because I really don't want to put points into all these abilities. And actually, it's even still a terrible example because I probably would invest in all these abilities. Um, maybe if it was right here, who knows? Basically, my point is just be mindful of where you're planning. Don't be afraid to kind of go a certain direction that you think you may need. Right now I'm speccing to these 20 or 18 to these resistances, because really I'm at the point where points at this point are going to be pretty insignificant for me. They'll give me damage, they'll give me a life, but long term they're not incredible. I'd rather just look at things that can help me survive. So with those things said, and as you can see, I'm dirt poor. With those things said, I hope this kind of helps you survive Nemesis mode. It is a lot of fun, especially as you get those characters leveled up. If I can think of any other advice, any other tips, I'll definitely put them on my channel. Again, I'll say I'm not an expert player. I'm not incredible. I'm not amazing. These are just a few things that really helped me out as I was playing through Path of Exile. Most importantly, you gotta say the cliche line: have fun, and just be, I guess, be out there killing mobs as you can. So again, this is Solacespecs. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you got something out of it. You guys get going into, wow, I just butchered the end of that line. Go kill mobs. Have fun. Anyway, have fun, guys, and I will see you later.